actually. And as we go into the game now, Red Start filling in for Visility will be on the Widow, which is interesting because it's Bud's actually on this team, and he's going to be on the Hanzo instead.
And instead of that Orisa Diva setup, which we've seen in that last series, we will have McGravy on that Roadhog instead. And to contest them, it will be that feared 3-0-3 composition coming out of last night's leftovers now already looking to set up a potential advantageous position to really brawl this one. McGravy under a lot of pressure will manage to stay alive, but first point cap will go over in favor of LNL.
And they have the Mercy as well, so I don't know how many places they can disengage from, as we do see Buds up top. Inlayer will take out iShiny, so now without a tank to stay behind, they need to make sure that when they go in for this next round, this next bout that's to come, they have to make sure that they take some multiple angles so that they can surround them a little bit and maybe get some pressure onto the Mercy, who, like I said before, won't be able to really move around all too much.
And the big important hero that might make that happen would be Red Star now onto the Baron. Dragon Strike though finds that first kill. D-Suit's sugar-free, and without that mech, things were looking dire for them as McGravy coming in with the whole hog. It's gonna be Buds picking up kill after kill. And even though Dogman did use that Coalescence to secure one kill for his team, it's not gonna be quite enough. Even in the layer there at the end, popping that rally, not quite sold on the effectiveness of that particular choice, but in the end, we will have Envision stopping the cap in their favor.
And now some swaps as well for last night's leftovers. They're going to swap Inlayer as well as Dogman to Widow and Zenyatta respectively. We're going to be seeing them bring out a 3-1-2. Still using that Diva, and they're going to actually find a quick kill onto Red Start, swapping to this Widow, not only to contest Red Start, but also to Buzz if they can.
Oh,
fire.
So, Mercy coming in with that Valkyrie was able to take him out, but Dogman still fighting one. The self-destruct was used from the side of LNL as they will continue to go forth and look for even more. Dogman getting 2 kills, and Layer now finding Buzz. As you said, definitely going to be looking for that one, and in the end, it will be last night's leftovers getting that cap once more.
And you have to wonder, maybe if this is the time to make a swap to your from your tanks over to something else, because this isn't really working in their front line, I have to say, because every time they're able to just walk up, Decod, Track, and Sugar-Free are just mitigating all the pressure that's coming out onto iShiny, and then they're just plowing him right over, and there's not much that anybody can do about it. So I think they need to swap that at least at this stage.
And the big problem for them is the fact that the Graviton is at the ready, no Transcendence available, but only really McGravy caught in it. And as a result, while he does go down, you see the D-Suit go through, the Supercharger go out, the Earth Shatter, not really finding quite the targets he was looking for, but it does not matter in the end. And last night's leftovers continuing on the pain, and Econ will go down, but 91% now on to this point. Envision really needs to make a run for it.
Last night's leftover getting aggressive on this one too, diving right into the whole hog. Sugar-Free gonna lose the mech, but batted away everything else. They will take it. Last night's leftovers on top to start things off.
And with this 1-0 advantage, they will be looking into the second round, keep up the momentum and make sure they get this first map win on the board. But as you said, not quite sold on that front line coming out of Envision. While yes, we've seen some success from McGravy alongside iShiny on that Orisa with the Halt Hook combo, wasn't working out, and at some point you need to make sure you swap early on into these upcoming fights so you can come back in and eventually, even through those losses, push through.
They're going to stick to their guns too. I mean, they're going to be bringing that Orisa and Hog combination once more. We see Red Star and Buds back on the Pharah, back on the Hanzo, so pretty much the same exact thing that we saw on Ruins.
And look at that, the triple DPS setup for LNL, something we definitely would have expected out of him, but so far it is going to be a 1-for-1 blow of Zenyatta's that wants to claim those kills, as it will have Ajax bring Track back up online. But these that resurrect on the other side, Fire unable to do so, will be taken out. And now, last night's leftovers with this triple DPS setup might get that first point cap.
Yeah, they have just surrounded them on all fronts and taken advantage of the fact that this composition that Envision is running is just, you know, they're so static. They can't move around very much. So now we see them swapping things. Ice Shiny McGravy moving over to the Winston and the Diva, as we will see them diving a little bit more, looking a little bit more aggressive, perhaps able to deal with Dogman Sugar Free to some degree more than what we saw already. Oh, there's a stick.
Ooh, and getting Crimzo out of all people, who was looking to counteract this dive composition coming out of last night's leftovers, and now Track under a lot of pressure will manage to stay alive. And once more, last night's leftovers, they've had complete control so far.
Track holding on to the barrage now. DPS ultimate's coming online for last night's leftover, and that's where things get a little scary, especially when you're already down 40% to nothing. Red Start coming in for this roster hasn't really been able to get much accomplished, much to the degree that we saw Facility and Fisher especially as well.
But Bud's still being consistent right now, finding the kills out there in the layer. We'll look for even more Transcendence. Will be Pop Trigger if he has the Blade adder ready. Doesn't even use it, but now we'll go for and look for those kills. Finds one onto Crispo with that dash. We'll look for more. Gets McGravy once he's out of the suit. But does get one with that Storm Arrow, but that's all they get. And with 70% in favor of LNL, this is going to be looking very scary for Envision.
Red Start falling back as well, and Buds does have his Dragon Strike. We do see the barrage coming together for Red Start. Track has one, as you mentioned already, as well. But he's going to be taken out already. I mean, once again, Enlair will find that kill.
And now, even though McGravy returns fire with this man disadvantage, we will see Track pop that barrage, get the kill, and we will be one last-ditch effort coming out of Envision to make anything happen. But it's been all about last night's leftovers looking absolutely dominant on this control map setup.
Yeah, not even close on that one. They go up 1-0 over Envision. And as we move forward, the next map, of course, being Eichenwald, Envision will have an opportunity to turn this around. I wouldn't count them out just yet. They've historically always kind of faltered on control. I think that's a pretty nice way of saying it so far. But I mean, like I said, I wouldn't count them out just yet. As we move over into Hybrid, Assault, and Escort, I think that's where they're going to really shine. That's where they've always shined. Every time we see a control map start, that's where Envision just stumbles a little bit, trips a little bit, and then comes back into the match later on.
And we'll see if they can start turning things around, as the next map will be Eichenwald. LNL up 1-0, but as we are going to be moving on to that hybrid map, this is where we expect to see Envision finally come alive. And yes, even though they have that substitute in the form of Red Star, this should still overall boost this team's morale and just potential to get atop of this one.
Yeah, but this is also the map that we saw a phenomenal defense displayed by last night's Leftovers starting things off, where we saw a 1-3-2 to answer the 3-0-3 that came out from their opposition. But all that aside, Red Start coming in with this DPS, it doesn't seem like they're just clicking as much as they really often do on Envision. And you have to wonder, like, what's going on tonight? I mean, what's going on the last 2 nights even? I mean, is there something happening where the old guard are now being replaced or something? Because these new teams, I mean, not new teams. Last night's Leftovers not exactly a new team, but it is a new roster for them. Mirage Sports also in the same boat. So, I mean, is it a situation where things have, I don't know, I don't want to say, they've been complacent, because that's never going to be the case with these kind of guys, with these types of guys being the competitors that they are. It's not going to be the case. But things have, I mean, it seems like teams have caught up. It's just the fact of the matter. I think at this stage, we have to, understand and come to that conclusion that things are a lot more equal than we thought initially, at least for me, because I expected Envision, I expected Fusion University to both be in the winner's bracket, to be surging through, even Goats putting up a little bit of a contest, but still, I expected that to be the case. It's not the case, though, at all. And look at this. It's going to be Next brought in to this map. They're going to start things off with a 2-2-2, and I actually do like this, because Next, as we know, is phenomenal on the D.Va and does a lot for this squad.
But already, Buds will find that first blood, and that's the type of play you want to see out of Envision. Make sure they do get those advantages, they do make a win happen. Because as we've said, Next coming in for this roster seems to be so great for them in their matchup versus Grizzlies, and now we'll see the rest of his team look to push on through. iShiny dropping pretty low, down to half. Will be saved up by the rest of his team, but slowly and surely, we'll have last night's Leftovers potentially get that real estate, those positionings they were looking for, but Red Star coming alive as well.
Making the defense happen, Enlair won't be able to get much done from here. Ajax does actually res Decod back up, so they could pull back a little bit and then wait to re-engage once more. That looks like it might be the case, as Sugar Free is putting some damage onto McGravy, giving them someone to jump on as soon as they have the opportunity. But as they do, Enlair and Next both aren't ready just yet.
We'll have that Valkyrie being popped by Ajax, looking to keep the rest of his team safe. Sugar Free finds the County Buzz, who was unable to use the Dragon Strike, and now we'll have Decod somehow barely managing to stay alive. Even though Dogman did go out, the member advantage in definite favor of last night's Leftovers as they continue to fight this one out. Pulse Bomb not gonna find those targets. Ajax gets the res onto Dogman. Coming back from spawn, we will see Envision trying to make their way back, trying to contest. Already 2 ticks will be on the board for last night's Leftovers, and with nobody else quite there just yet, it will be 4 minutes and 36 seconds to, or rather for LNL to make this push happen on that second point.
And coming back into it, Enlair will have Widow available to put some pressure onto Red Start. That's going to make things very difficult, because not only does he have to deal with that Widowmaker, he also has to deal with Sugar Free, and he wants to be able to do both, but he just can't. Although on the high ground, 5 ultimates at the ready for Envision. They have everything but the Valkyrie ready to go, and not yet dropping, and Crimso somehow falls.
He gets him before he uses that Transcendence, so will be rested back up by Fire, who was able to stay alive. And now, with a member advantage potentially going in favor of Envision, they will look to push them away from that bail, but Sugar Free gets a trample off of the barrage, and even though Fire pulls out the pistol to secure a kill himself, that was definitely looking pretty good for last night's Leftovers. At the very least, they are holding their opponents back, and with just one member now finally free on that payload, they're covering a lot of distance.
Oh, and they're taking Red Start on, who swapped to the Widow. They're actually on a double sniper themselves, and Sugar Free has brought out the Genji that we see from him time and time again. They love bringing this to the table, and they're going to do what they can with it.
We'll see the Self-Destruct get launched. Finds Crimso again. But Red Start finding 1 kill himself. The rest was there coming out of Fire. Transcendence now finally available and will go through for Envision as they look to push the opposition away. But finding one more kill that time around. It's a decod, but Dogman isn't having any of it. At the very least, we'll take down Ice Shining with this prolonged team fight. We'll have that Dragon Strike at the ready, and eventually should be Envision winning this one out.
Oh, Sugar Free on the Genji. Oh, gets sniped down by Buds. And they will take that fight, taking a win for themselves. And as they're down 0-1, they really needed that one to be able to be sure of themselves, knowing that they can turn this back around. However, ever closer Sugar Free is to that Dragon Blade, now at 91%. Crimzo only at 60% on the Transcendence. They don't have a direct answer. They're going to have to find some way to repel Sugar Free when he does get that up.
We'll see what their approach will be. So far, it seems like Buzz is going to be the one to make things happen for the rest of his team. Taking out that frontline member and Decod. We did have that Primal Rage, but those Storm Arrows able to dish out so much DPS. We'll look to get even that high ground control as the rest of last night's leftovers will be looking for those sidelines. But now the Dragon Strike coming through. Still gonna be Sugar Free with the blade, getting 2 kills for himself. Finds another in Crimzo. And now we should have last night's leftovers get that payload really close to that objective.
Oh, they might be contested again, though. Ice Shiny is making sure that he's forcing them to really work for it. They're pushing that thing along, though. Buds coming back in, or at least attempting to, as Red Start swaps to Brigitte to deal with Inlair and Sugar Free on these 2 flankers. Oh, I believe that got eaten up, and Buds takes Inlair out there, contesting the point once again.
And they managed to do just so right before it reaches that objective now, as Fire did go out. Still, we'll see last night's leftovers make a few adjustments, potentially launching the self-destruct. Will not secure any kill. However, Dogman being left alive into his own devices will claim 2 kills of his own. And finally, Butts actually will be launching that Dragon Strike, getting 2 more kills, but it will be taken out in the end. And as we will have next, get another kill. These delays are, wow, building so much time, or wasting rather so much time here for last night's leftovers, but they will get objective on that second point.
Dogman has been so lethal in this matchup on this Zenyatta. Look, there's another one as he's boosted up as well. I mean, he's just finding these right clicks. Even when, you know, it becomes a little bit of a brawl, he has the spacing to just throw out as much damage as he can, and it's lining up. Things are working out for them when it happens. Shiny and Decod crashing into each other as Sugar Free falls quickly to Red Start.
Talk about being denied, instantly shut down, and now this will signal the rest of Envision to push forward, but it's gonna be still Decod finding at the very least 1 kill. 1 small potential advantage will not amount to anything else, as McGravy will be now on that Zarya. Look to keep Buds alive. He's already at 50% towards that next Dragon Strike, and I think that's an important matchup too. Crimzo versus Dogman. Traditionally, we've seen Crimzo be the one to be the most lethal with those Zenyatta plays, but now Dogman stepping up to the occasion will look to potentially get his team that 3rd point as well.
Look to see how Next wants to utilize this self-destruct. How do they want to just throw that in there? Do they want to hold on to it, wait for this fight to kind of expand a little bit? Or he's just going to throw it out right over the top. It actually somehow finds Fire as it connects onto the Mercy. Now it's last night's leftovers. Can they keep pushing here? The Dragon Strike comes out from the opposite side. Buds throwing that one out. Will demech Next as the Graviton follows from McGravy, but they don't have the damage to find the kills.
And Crimzo, while he did manage to find Next, he didn't find quite the target they were looking for. Transcendence now coming out of Dogman. Sugar Free able to charge that one up. Will go down though. And that is a big pick because that Graviton was at the ready.
And the res onto Crimzo. Here's Shiny coming back into the fight, taking on Decod. They're putting the hurt onto this Reinhardt. Dogman's getting kind of close to it as well as Buds comes forward with this Hanzo. They're going to start surrounding them. There's nowhere for Next to go, so he will go right to the floor with the Earthshatter coming in. Decod trying to stay around this fight. Just keep cleaving, buddy. Keep cleaving. There's the Earthshatter, but the Graviton comes out from Sugar Free. They do find Buds. I don't think they'll find much else.
And Buds did manage to dish out more than enough damage to make it so that his team has the advantage in this fight. Now a matter of time singly as it's overtime. Dragon Strike does go through though. Out of Envision, looking for more. Will be taken out. Crimso definitely coming alive. Even Graviton to secure that last kill as well. And it will be Envision holding out right before that third objective.
Able to finally make that stop. Now if they can just go the distance themselves, they will take us 1-1, and we move forward to Anubis with things equalized. But now attacking, it looks like Buds and Red Star going to be onto the Han. Ooh, a little switch up. Bud's actually going to bring back the McCree. He brought this out, if I'm not mistaken, on defense for this map the last time we saw them here in their first matchup. It was definitely on this map. I want to say it was on defense, and he's going to be bringing that back, this time on the offensive side, as iShiny McGravy once again, they go right back to the Orisa and Hog setup, where they're going to be likely just right in front, just kind of staging the advance with Buds at their back.
But look at that, last night's leftovers going onto that Orisa. I thought for a second Envision would look to contest, but a McCree of his own. It's going to be that Tracer, and I think this is very smart coming out of Envision with Buds on that McCree, because if you expect Envision to run that Tracer as well as Sugar Freeze Fair, which is more than likely going to come out on a map like Eichenwald, no matter which team you're up against, it's going to just be so good for Envision, but they need to still find set picks, because for Decod, this team of last night's leftovers, they really were one of the strongest ones when it comes to playing around that Orisa pick.
This is excellent scouting. You bring up an excellent point. This is excellent scouting by their staff or their team or whoever was doing it, because I agree with you. You know, if you have the Tracer, if you have the Genji, if you have even, you know, a Pharah or you know, even a Junkrat, all of those things, you know, they're pretty solid to have a McCree with. You know, if they do come through, you might be able to have a shot at flashbanging them, getting the damage out, or even just taking Junkrat out before he can burst you down. But you got your wish. Enlair is indeed on the McCree to battle Buds.
And we'll see who can come out on top. And so far it's going to be again Dogman with those right clicks being damage boosted up, and Enlair being the one to come out on top of that matchup this time around, but with a little bit of help, so not quite a 1v1. However, this is going to be exactly what last night's leftovers are looking for.
Yeah, it's basically, this is a situation where iShiny and McGravy are forced to kind of slowly push up, and if they aren't able to do, you know, get that shield down in a timely fashion, Enlair's going to have a huge advantage over Buds.
Especially since that Matrix is there, but the hook, line, and sinker secures that kill onto Dogman, and with no resurrects coming through, it's going to be Buds finding Enlair, and now Envision opening this point in big fashion. Buds with a double for himself, finds next as well, another hook coming through. It's going to be all about this McCree, as Envision will have so much time to work with.
And here come the swaps. Enlair going to be going over to the Tracer. Sugar Free actually going over to the Genji, so they are swapping things up back to that classic, you know, double flanker style of dive. Dogman has been laying it on with this Zenyatta throughout, and he's sticking to that, and I don't expect anything else from him. I don't know, though. I mean, Brigitte swap here, maybe?
Well, considering the fact that Buds is still sticking to that McCree, and why wouldn't you? If this dive is what LNL's gonna go for. As I said, maybe you're gonna have a Brigitte to come in, but so far not even needed, as Buds gets the flash, gets the kill, will be taken out by Sugar Free, but once more, it's just gonna go in favor of Envision.
Oh, the pressure is on. Red Star lays into the tank line. Dogman does take him out, once again proving he is that lethal Zenyatta that so many teams have been on the lookout for since Jonak and everything. But hold up there, the hook is not there this time, but they will dive on anyways. There's a Transcendence to come out. Red Star looking for that opportunity to pull out the barrage if they have it.
But it's still a 1-for-1 Red Star. Does go for the barrage here, but it will be seemingly enough, because in the end, Buds will find another kill. So will McGravy with the hook. Sugar Free eventually going down. And with 3 minutes, 50 seconds now, Envision will look to equalize the series 1-1, because they're well on their way towards that third objective soon enough.
Bud's getting close to that Deadeye, and this is a great spot to be able to use it too, because it forces everybody to the back of the payload if they're trying to contest. So he's going to try to get that up very quickly. There's the hook. Oh, Decod going to fall. Self-destruct coming over the top. Not going to find anything, and he won't even have to use the Deadeye because they will clean things up without it.
Even Fire laying down some fire himself to get a kill there onto Sugar Free. Nothing he really gained in favor of last night's leftovers, and now moving on to that third objective, having so much time, having that Deadeye still available. We'll see the rest of Envision just push on forward, look to keep the opponents at bay, and this will prompt last night's leftover to have some swaps. The pulse bomb is gonna go through, but it's gonna be Fire Strike coming out of Decod that secures the kill.
I mean, yeah, Buds goes down, but with all the pressure that they were able to put out, they've already created so much distance with this payload, and now they'll be able to get it pretty close to being around that corner by the time they're down and out. Sugar Free chasing Red Star down as he pulls out of that fight, and Transcendence held onto by Crimzo right now to be able to answer Sugar Free when he pulls that blade out, if he wants to get aggressive with it. So ideally, yes, they want to be waiting for Crimzo to pull that out first.
Oh, we'll see him do just so, but he gets shut
goodbye.
down. Buds now onto that Junkrat. We'll find the mine, we'll find the kill, and with the rest of his team moving up forward, it will secure one more next going down in the back. Will be Ajax falling shortly, and with that payload rapidly approaching that final objective, the Riptire might be the thing to seal the deal here.
Oh, they're just gonna wait. They know it's coming around the corner. They're just waiting for the opportunity. D-Mex Sugar Free already.
And that is going to be important because the rest of his team will have an easy time to do the damage potentially to the scheme as McGravy secures another pulse bomb. Gonna go through, but not gonna be the one to secure the kill. It's gonna be Fire instead, still so lethal on that Mercy, but with those ultimates online, Valk gonna keep the team safe for now. Rally finally does go through. They need to find the kills.
They have people down so low, but they fall off the point. They weren't able to secure them as you were talking about it. We saw Buds low, we saw Crimzo low, we even saw Red Start go low for a moment there, but they weren't able to secure them. And that will be Envision Esports tying up the series.
Much more convincing fashion too. We'll have it go 1-1, and Buds definitely being one of the bigger players here for Envision, not only playing that McCree to an exceptional level, also making the swap there at the end towards that Junkrat, was able to find that damage, that spam, so that he can charge up that Riptire and just secure that final push.
Yeah, I mean, taking the Diva out of the mech, yeah, he can go back, he can resuit and everything, great, but it takes away the opportunity for them to engage quickly, and then you can take that advantage very quickly. So that's exactly what we got right at that last stage, and you know, yes, Red Star missed the pulse bomb. That might have been able to allow them to secure it a little bit quicker, but nonetheless, they were able to get the job done despite having a couple of players at some pretty low HP at the end.
And now that we will be moving on to Assault, we'll see who can take the lead in the series. The series is now tied up 1-1, but the scary thing moving on forward for this side of Last Night's Leftovers is the fact that Facility is back.
Yeah, he's back. Official word, he was stuck in traffic, so Red Start came in as a last-second substitution so that they could play the game. You know, obviously, you don't want to get disqualified at this point in the tournament. You know, have to drop down to loser bracket for that. So they brought him in. Got the win, at least, in that last map. Now, though, Facility being back, I think this is really good news for Envision to be able to bring someone in that has had, you know, a significant amount more of time with this team to kind of come together and create some synergy as a team.
And really looking at what they were able to do in their first match in the tournament, they really seem like they came well together. It seems like Facility is really coordinating well with the likes of Butts and the rest of that front line if need be, depending on what type of composition they are running. But we will be moving on to Anubis, and to start it all off, it will be Last Night's Leftovers on attack. Next is still on the roster, and it's going to go ahead and be a dive for them too.
And they'll be playing up against Buds, who's back on the Widow. Once again, more good news for Envision, and you can see exactly why that is. Taking out Dogman, someone who was very impressive throughout Eichenwald.
And now already under a lot of pressure at the very least. We'll look to see Last Night's Leftovers take him out. And a big threat at that, but they need to keep this momentum rolling if they are to get even more fire. Manages to find the rest even through that barrage coming out of in the layer. And now, as a result, seeing Facility take out that frontline member of Decon. He will be brought back up, but seeing as Butts is still alive, it will be Envision finding the kills, and no ticks achieved right now for Last Night's Leftovers.
Somehow iShiny staying alive throughout this as well. Only Fire to be coming back from respawn. It's going to take some time, but luckily they can afford that as Ajax falls quite late there. So he will come back, and they can set up even into positions where they can take him back quickly. You already see Buds doing just that. So they will step back up defensively. This could be a good situation once more for Envision as they're now in position to be able to look for those opening picks, and Buds being on the Widow is certainly a good way to get that done.
And they will still have Crimso at the ready with the Transcendence, looking to stabilize things if need be. As Sugarfree is rapidly approaching that blade, the Valkyrie's gonna be popped though from the attacking side. Ajax using that one will be answered with fire. His own Valk, but the blade will come out Transcendence as a result. And we'll see the Tire take him out, but it is a 1-for-1 trade.
And the res to come through. We see the pulse bomb come out, and not gonna be what they needed as Sugarfree does get rezzed back up. And still on the point, iShiny has stuck it out. Not much longer though, as McGravy will fall out and turn as well. And in just under what is 2 minutes, we will, or just over 2 minutes rather, last night's leftovers does wind up taking the first point. However, point B typically a little bit harder.
It now especially made that much more difficult with the Buds making the change over to that Brigitte versus this dive comp. But look at this adaptation coming out of last night's leftovers. They set up in a layer on the Brigitte themselves. Having Sugar Free on that Pharah too will prompt another swap. Buds on that Sombra.
Yeah, they do like to pull this out quite often. We see them taking hold of that bottom mega pack. Sugar Free coming in on the Pharah, but slowly creeping his way behind, and he will be able to shut down Ajax, I think, who's very low already, and he might actually... Oh, I thought he was going to go for the 1v2. That's what I would have done. But that's why he's a pro and I'm not, so...
And he does secure that all-important advantage for his team, and that's what you really need when it comes to these pro matchups, right? It's the small advantages that really snowball into these heavy teamfight wins, as he will manage to find another target on that Sugar Freeze Pharah, and now we'll be getting extremely close to the EMP. Means that Dogman, even though he does have the Transcendence at the ready, it's gonna be still looking very difficult for them to push through.
And there's the swap from Sugar Free over to the Comfort Genji, and he's going to be very, very solid on this, I have to say. I mean, he has been throughout, I would say, very, very good when he does swap over to this, which is interesting because you just, you know, prior to the pit, you didn't really see that much in this meta of the Genji, especially because of Brigitte coming through, but he's been able to do a lot with it so far, I'd say.
We'll have to look to see what Buds can really do to start this one off. It's going to be Facility, though, with one kill, so it's a 1-for-1. EMP goes through, but it doesn't quite go onto Dogman. And as a result, the Transcendence being there means that they still could potentially make things happen here for last night's leftovers. But Facility's brought back up. The Dragon Strike claims one in Decod.
Oh, next taken down by the Storm Arrows as well. Actually, Facility somehow manages to stay alive, and Enlair trying to get the job done, swinging away with that flail, will go down, and yet again, Envision does it. And what was a very scary situation, 3:30 on the clock now, and they've given nothing away.
And look at that, already we see Buzz get really close to that EMP. Facility almost charged up a second Dragon Strike throughout that team fight, as Buzz single-handedly now pushing the opposition away. He did get the hack off of the Sugar Free, so he knows at the very least 100% that the blade is at the ready on that particular target, so the rest of his team might set his sights on that Genji as a result.
They have that blade ready. Need to try to shut it down with the EMP if they can. Take Sugar Free right on out of it. There's the hack. They see it's ready, so now they know that Sugar Free is holding the blade.
And we'll see the rest of the team still search forward. The blade will come
Oh, there
out,
it is!
But EMP is there, and without the dash, Sugar Free not as effective as he would have liked. 2-for-1 in favor of the defensive side. Of course, no ticks on the board. Then with next falling eventually. We'll see once more Envision come out on top.
Still allowing nothing to come through. They have found answer for every single thing that has come their way. 21% towards the EMP, 5 ultimates outside of that. Ajax under fire. Buds will connect and secure that kill for his team. Things just seem so much more smooth than they were 10 minutes ago for Envision Esports.
And they are definitely looking like the favorites right now with this matchup, as Dogman will be taking care of. Buds does fall though, so not quite at the cost of nothing, as Ajax will be able to come in with the resurrect, but Buds having that close respawn, of course, will be at 55% and still everything available for the defense. Decod will go ahead and use that Prime Dragon Strike will come through, however Facility will go down.
Oh, now we see as well the Gravy coming out, taking out Decod, and actually, it's going to be the Transcendence to come through as well. That's Sugar Free dashing through as that ends out. And they still have armor, but they need the blade to turn this fight.
And then with the MPS soon enough at the ready for Buds, even with the blade, it might not really do too much work, as it is going to go through. Sugar Free will fall, and once more, Envision will be defensively posturing up very strong fashion. As with 1 minute and 6 seconds left on the clock right now, they did use most of their ultimates to make it happen, but they're still going to be looking very hot.
And Bud's pulling back, but not before getting a little bit of ult charge to trade off. Definitely a good trade for him, as that EMP has worked wonders for them. 47 seconds remaining. Sugar Free with the blade. No EMP this time, but they do have a Dragon Strike. And I wonder how they're going to want to use that. They're going to want to pull it out kind of soon, section off some of the more aggressive players from last night's leftovers and isolate them, take them out. Or are they going to want to hold on to it until everybody's grouped up on the point?
Interesting to see Analair go over to the Pharah alongside Dogman now on the Brigitte, and the blade will come through, doesn't find the target, so the Dragon Strike was there, and Analair the first one to go out, and with the blade being ineffective, we will see once more last night's leftovers struggling to make anything happen.
Oh, Bud's skillfully dodging that self-destruct as well that came out from next. They still are finding kills though, as Sugar Free saw that translocator come out. McGravy hanging on with the self-destruct himself. Doesn't have the boost to go forward, but he does have the transcendence to make it last long enough so that he will go up soon, but not just yet, as they're looking to try to mitigate all this pressure that has come out. He's going to go for the reset, knocking everybody around in the sky is going to be Ice Shiny, and it's only last night's leftovers finding these kills until finally Ice Shiny gets one.
And that's a big one, because now we're in overtime. Notic still on the board means that there will be plenty of opportunity for Envision to continue on through, but on that Doomfist looking to be effective. Finally, one tick on the board for the attacking side. Now it will be to the face. Sugar Free, you're out. Brazility also securing another kill as well, as we will see once more Envision looking to hold this one out.
Oh, Next gonna take some pressure as well, and once more Buds finds a knockout punch into the side of Inlair on the Tracer, taking him out as well. 55.7% final cap percentage for last night's leftovers, as they only get one full cap. And now it's up to Envision Esports. Can they, on their attack, better that score and take us to 2-1 moving into Route 66?
And considering how well they already look with Visibility in the lineup, definitely gonna give them the advantage. But as said, you never know, because last night's leftovers have pulled out all the punches. They will be looking to still keep themselves in it. Don't want to go down 2-1 versus Envision, because if they lose Anubis, Envision will be at match point, and you want to make sure you take them at the very least to that control map if possible, because that's where they looked at their weakest.
So starting things off on their attack, you absolutely expect Buds to be on the Widowmaker. Maybe a Tracer here, but I think Widowmaker would be the play more often than not. You want to put him in a situation where he can contest Inlair, who is going to be on the Widowmaker himself, at least at the moment. But looks like at the moment it's going to be on the Tracer instead. And this was initially what we saw a lot of, in the past, Jaru and Buds bringing that combo together, but eventually it looks like he might go back to it. We'll have to see what he winds up settling on, but looking at the defense here, it's going to be Next on the Brigitte to match up with Decod on the Orisa, so they're going to be running 3 of those supports, bringing in Enlair on Widow, as I mentioned, and Junkrat from Sugar Free.
And once they do see the setup, I would expect Buds to stick to that Widowmaker, because with that Tracer, you're definitely going to be in a lot of danger versus Brigitte. And now, as we will have him move back to that particular pick, we'll be curious to see if he will stick through. But full dive for Envision on the other side. We'll look to see how they can really play around Nexus particular pick.
And at this point, I wonder if they're seeing the Brigitte, and if they do, spot that out, say, you know what, get out the Tracer. Go over to the Widowmaker. You already see an opportunity where Inlair is kind of exposed at certain angles. They're going to dive in anyways, jumping right in. Sugar Free going to get the healing. Bud's going to be taken out almost immediately.
And we will see at the very least in return, Envision look to punish that positioning, as I said. You will see like that Widowmaker was vulnerable, now finding another kill. However, Quimso does fall, so it's not going to be out just yet, as we will have Dogman once again be all too lethal with that Zenyatta. Picks up a kill onto Facility. Ice Shiny, though, trying his best to make it happen for his team. Sugar Free barely holding on to dear life as well.
And that's the person you want to bring up. Ice Shiny, the man who's gotten almost all of your kills in this fight. Let him continue his warpath. Bud's on the Widowmaker, returning to that fight, and Ice Shiny has been let loose.
Definitely going absolutely ham on that Winston right now. getting close to the primal rage. We'll see him secure the fight, secure the point for Envision, and with 6 minutes, 40 seconds to surpass that 55.7%, we'll look to see Envision definitely looking hot right now.
On this Widowmaker, Bud's looking to find that pick, get them that opening that they need, find one of the supports in the back if you can. Try to get in there. Bud's gonna drop in, get melted almost instantly, but answered back. I don't know what they can do though here because the Resurrect will come out, and there it is indeed.
And that was a big one because Dogman does have that Transcendence at the ready, but Facility will pull out the blade, instantly answer, and as a result, he will manage to disengage, but no, gets taken out in the end. Crimzo does find in the layer in the meantime, and since the Resurrect from the attacking side will go through, it's not going to be over just yet. iShiny pushing forward with the use of that Transcendence, looking to build those damage, or rather those numbers advantage, as we will see Envision rapidly approaching that first stick.
Oh, the stick comes out, self-destruct coming down, 55%, 55.7, Envision quickly take the lead.
And this is not what you were looking for your last night's leftovers, because when we got to Route 66, that's another map where players like Buds and Facility can really come alive, can really open up things big time for this team.
And what a way to turn around too. Things, again, becoming a lot more seamless with Facility back in play. We saw them in the Beat Invitational with Fisher, obviously throughout their history with Jaru. Not exactly clicking at first with Red Start, but obviously it's much tougher when you just come in having no practice with the team, last second sub in, trying to fill in what is a very, very tough matchup with last night's leftovers, though this time things are, like I said, clicking a little bit better now with Facility.
And I'm really curious to see what last night's leftovers will do in terms of their rosters, since they have those multiple options. So we will find out soon enough, as we will move on to Route 66. Envision at match point looking to push last night's leftovers down to the losers bracket. We are up 2-1. We will be moving on to Route 66. And yes, while Visibility coming into for this roster has been looking great, gotta say, eyes shiny on that Winston, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said before, unleashed. That was the term I used, and I don't think there's a better one for it. He went after every single person, I mean, relentlessly. As soon as they let him out of his cage, that spawn door opened, he was flying, looking for anybody on a warpath. But now as we go over to Route 66, he's going to have to continue that. I mean, they're going to need to continue this momentum. They need to make sure that they're, keeping up with what they've been able to accomplish in that last map, especially since bringing back Visibility into this roster. So he was picking up someone from the airport. So yeah, it's a little late here, as we know. I believe it's like 4:30 or something at this point, probably. But yeah, so he's back now. I think luckily for them, I would say, because I do think that they perform slightly better when he is in this roster to help him out and bring together that cohesion that they were kind of lacking, I think, to some degree on Eichenwald as well as Ilios, their first map. But again, onto Route 66. I certainly expect some Widowmaker. I certainly expect some Pharah. I certainly expect maybe Junkrat, actually, at some point, as well as Hanzo as the DPS. But I'm curious mostly about the tank lineup, McGravy and Ice Shiny. That's one to look out for sure.
Especially since there's a high chance they might even go for that 3-0-3 composition when it comes to that final objective. But so far, for the attacking side here, last night's leftovers, looking for that Orisa Roadhog combo, whereas on defense, Ice Shiny will be on the Orisa himself, but McGravy on the defense instead.
Yeah, so not going with the dive that you would kind of anticipate at this section of the map. Instead, they're going to be opting for the Orisa and playing it with the Diva as well to just hold out defensively. And it's not crazy to think of that, especially for a defense. So I would expect to see this maybe here, but I'm curious about their offense. However, the attack, next Decod connecting, looking for those hooks, but it's been Dogman throughout, along with Sugarfree, who have been connecting and finding the damage that they need to open up this site with.
It's been an absolute treat to watch the likes of Dogman contest Crimson, because both of these players really have been the standout Zenyatta so far, but NLA getting taken out means that it will be Envision pushing off forward, looking to set up a defensive posture. Top of this payload, Crimson getting another in the end. The Resurrect should be coming live, and finally Envision do stabilize.
Bud's up on top of this bridge as well, finding the kills with his double sniper. Visibility has been able to answer in turn as well, and they make the stop about a half a meter away from its not final destination, its first destination rather. Oh, Bud setting up. Oh, barely missing that opportunity. Oh, but getting that one, and Decod falls quickly.
And in that last team fight, I saw that Ajax. That silhouette for Mercy is really low. You did try to sneak it, but wasn't quite as successful as Envision is still on point with the calls and making sure they are aware of everything as Facility picks up another kill set up by that Hall, but the Dragon Strike will come out from the attacking side of your Sugarfree.
Oh, Dogman.
Pretty lethal. Dogman barely stays alive long enough for that Transcendence to come online at least.
Oh, wow. What a way to come back and punish Facility for chasing that kill. They yoink him back in with the Halt. Dogman turns around and says, now it's my turn. Sugarfree on the Hanzo in the meantime has found 2 kills, make it 3 to come together with Dogman. Between those two, I mean, it's been crazy to see the way that they've been able to just be so lethal throughout this series with the Hanzo. I mean, Genji, a lot of different things from Sugarfree, but just consistently Dogman with the Zenyatta.
And now they just did get those picks through as well. We'll look to see so many ultimates available for the defensive side. Bud's once again able to pick up a kill. A second one onto Ajax. Punishes that Resurrect. Very well done by them once more. But that's what you come to expect out of a player like Bud's when it comes to that Widowmaker.
And he has Infrasight ready, so he's going to want to pop this out. And there it comes. He's going to have great vision, not only for him, but for his team as well, as they're going to be looking to just kind of put as much stress into this as possible so that the opponent team is forced out of the position that they want to be in with that Dragon Strike coming out, forcing the Transcendence out as well. And look at this, McGravy going to the sky, self-destruct comes down and doesn't find what I thought it would.
But it does get that supercharger out of the way, so we'll see Crimson be Leaf as well as he gets 2 kills himself. Says, okay, Yurix, you talked enough about Dogman. Let me have my time to shine. As we'll see even Buzz get that kill onto Sugar Free in the end. Facility claims another, and with that Dragon Strike versus Transcendence, that's definitely one of those types of traits that I'll take any day of the week, as we will see. And then later come back from spawn, instantly gets shut down once more, and another infra side at the ready here for Buzz.
Dragon Strike ready for Sugar Free as Bud's up top is looking for an angle. Halt coming out. I don't think it got anybody yanked up, but Inversight coming out once again as Buds was able to get that back up, and they see the rotation early now. Oh, Dogman, you're in trouble, buddy, and he goes down. Buds will find that kill as Next trying to push the point is forced off. He used his heal to do that. And once again, it's going to be Envision just kind of waiting to re-engage.
And now that they will have Dragon Strike on both ends, we'll see Crimso force to use that Transcendence. And it's off of that beautiful hold setup, and we will see the flank where Sugarfree gets punished by Facility. And once more Envision looking to hold this one out, looking to push them away. And it's slowly but surely dropping that timer lower and lower. Now down to 1.52 seconds here for the attacking side of last night's leftovers.
Facility on the Hanzo. Crazy right now. As we see the swaps from last night leftovers and Desperation now going over to Tracer and Genji. Trying to answer this double sniper, trying to find a way in alongside this dive setup that they've swapped to as well. Backed by Dogman and Ajax, both holding on to ultimates pretty soon here. And there it is.
However, looking at the other side, Fire should have that Valkyrie soon enough. And it will be Ajax popping his Valk first off, and it's going to be Bud finding a kill as well. However, Crimso taking out a picture will make things ever so slightly easier for last night's leftover to keep up the momentum as Sugarfree finds another, but Bud, being relentless, will manage to take out Decod before he eventually falls.
The Gravy hanging on, though, has the self-destruct if he wants to pop it, and I don't think he does. So he will stay in there. A lot of ultimates to re-engage with. Dragon Strike to allow them entry back into this stage of the map. And I believe they will probably use it. Bud's going to make a swap, though, and I think this is a smart pick, a smart choice to adapt to this combo that we see the DPS of last night's leftover going with. There it is, the Dragon Strike to come through. It's going to catch Decod.
And it is going to make it a 1-for-1. The Blade is at the ready. Claims one kill onto Facility. Looks for more. Gets the supercharger. And it returns the self-destruct. Claims the kill of itself onto Air. And now iShining with the rest of his team on this point will look to push them away with that Transcendence coming out of Crimso. We will already see Buzz at 74% towards his rally. Sugarfree back in. Will drop it pretty low. Self-destruct was launched. However, it's going to be Dogman with the kill.
Oh, McGravy coming back in, keeping everybody healthy, but there's the stick, I believe, that actually got McGravy out, and it is indeed in overtime. Perhaps Envision will fall, but Facility up top, can he be answered? He is forced to fall down. They have Dogman down. Next will go, take down Buds, and it's just Facility left. They were so close and yet so far away, as the combo, the 1-2 punch from Decod and Next was just a little too much towards the end there. And Facility likely to swap back over to the Hanzo. That is indeed the case, but still actually on the Brigida here, as they're going to be keeping this up, the 2-1-3 for Envision Esports.
And considering the fact that they might be expecting Sugarfree to once again have that Blade or maybe get close, Dogman gets taken out though, and a big kill at that because he just barely was 1% off from that Transcendence, but now being brought back up, he does have it online. The Blade will follow suit. Sugarfree looking for the kills, but it's going to be Facility shutting him down.
They did manage to take out Buds, but they have to get more than that if they want to keep pushing this forward, especially with where these spawns are at. They're sort of finding them a little bit, but they still need so much more as Dogman under fire. They see the self-destruct come down, pushes them all into the corner. Decod gonna protect them, keeping them safe away from all those bullies that are Envision Esports right now. Sticking onto this point, and they're gonna unleash the dragon once more as they're looking to take this fight, but so much time has been taken away in the process. If we see a regroup from Envision Esports, they could come out, Dragon Strike in tow from Facility, possibly be able to take this one here.
It is gonna be down to overtime. for this lineup of Last Night's Leftovers as they're setting up on that payload. The Dragon Strike is indeed being used. The Air Shatter was popped, though, however, not as successful. iShiny will drop, however. In the end, Crimson gets a kill. Buzz as well. And even though Sugar Freeze pops the blade, will be enough. Helped by that Transcendency, he gets taken out. Facility again, shutting the blade once more.
Oh, Dogman on the side, though, looking for an angle. Worked his way right into the face of McGravy, where he was able to shut him down, clothesline him to the ground. And that will be round one complete. Envision Esports stopped Last Night's Leftovers right before that third objective. And that final distance will indeed be 73.06 meters. Envision Esports now can finalize this matchup, bringing Facility back. They were able to take Eichenwald to start this off, take Anubis 2-1. Very convincingly on that one. Route 66 now looking to just finish this off, end it for the night. Let Facility go to sleep, man. It's so late.
But at the same time, they still have to cover a lot of distance to make it happen. Last Night's Leftovers definitely pushing their way through in the end. It was really, really close, especially when it came down to it on that second objective, only managing to push through overtime with the help of those frontline tanky members. But now that we will be swapping over sides, we'll look to see potentially that double sniper or that dive composition for Envision as well.
Now on their attack, I'm thinking dive. I mean, I'm thinking allow Buds to have some space creation through the Widow, but as we look at the defense, look at them sneaking around a little bit, going through the tunnels at the moment. And I do believe that they will just be hiding out. They're hiding away from our cameras too at the moment. But this is going to be 3-0-3, and we know that a lot of teams really have a tough time. They struggle to adjust to playing against this composition, and this is Last Night's Leftovers desperately trying to cling to this matchup. And I think this is a good strat. If you're going to try to stay in a matchup and you're not sure what to do, this is exactly what I'd do.
But this might signal Facility to make an instant swap to that Farah. McGravy will be the one to scout out that car, or rather that train, as we will have Sonic Arrow not really spotting any opponents, and as a result, so sneaky. We'll see Last Night's Leftovers move forward, look for those kills, out for blood, as Decon continuously swings away. But this is the type of split aggression coming out of Envision that might find a kill eventually, but not going to be there quite yet.
You have to be able to quickly disengage with your tanks to keep them alive, and that's just not the case. They're going to bring some more firepower to this matchup, bringing out Buds and Facility onto the Farah and Hanzo. Now going airborne with it as well as they put out the pressure. Oh, Dogman almost dying off, but they've still stuck in on this one.
They're building so much ultimates here for the defensive side of Last Night's Leftovers, as overall they're still able to be clumped up, grouped up, and for the most part safe. But Crimson are having that Valkyrie. Will look to secure the team fight win potentially, but with the Coalescence being the answer, Stomper at the ready. This is still looking good for Last Night's Leftovers.
Oh, but slid right in. He was able to get that last little percentage that he needed, and it was so perfectly timed, so perfectly executed. Bud's able to help secure this fight with that barrage. That was insane. Love seeing smooth gameplay like that. Looking so fluid on this Farah. B-Water, my friend, and he's going to go forward alongside Facility. Dragon Strike at about 80%. But look at what we're going to be seeing LNL engaging with. They really got to crack that armor for sure.
And we did see Dogman make that swap over to the Zenyatta. We'll see how that one will pan out, as NLA will be opening things up with that rally, looking to build all that important armor. Dogman drops really, really low, and as a result, we will actually see the sound barrier, but iShiny will claim that kill. The Dragon Strike did come out in layer, also dropping really low. iShiny will be charged up, but still finds the kill onto Decod.
iShiny has been the answer time and time again for them. Buds comes through again onto the Farah. They're cleaning things up. They didn't use everything though, and they have another shot to re-engage. Once everybody comes back up from respawn, they might have enough time to allow Ajax to help boost them back into this fight. They need to get into position and get ready, prepare themselves for what is to come. In the meantime, you already know Envision is doing just the same.
Facility already scouting out their opponents. We'll have Buds, of course, lying it away with their rocket barrage. Doesn't get spotted out, and a quick double kill, or make that a triple kill for them. It's gonna be a team wipe here. Buds getting the last one. Team kill for Envision as they will rapidly be making their way towards that second objective.
Lighting up last night's leftovers in such a big way, asserting their dominance now. Envision Esports trying as they may to be able to close this match out, and last night's leftovers trying to get back what they had in Eichenwald and Ilios, and being able to contest them. Now they're going to be able to make a swap back over to the double sniper. Up top, we see Decod contesting, but no answer to Buds just yet. Finally, some damage comes out, but not finding the kill to start this fight off. It's going to be Dogman, though, finding that first pick.
With that first pick coming through, no Resurrect is available on the other end as Buds is going to be taking out Decod, returning fire as well. We'll see McGravy pop that self-destruct, get a first suit, but it's not really going to matter too much. However, iShiny is still going wild on it. Winston going to secure a kill, and maybe I've spoke too soon.
Well, McGravy will fall, so Shiny, he's safe for now, but he's going to have to disengage. Facility gets them an entry pick, but also goes down himself and takes fire with them. So a little bit of back and forth still as iShiny finally does go down, hanging on perhaps a bit too long as Buds will certainly die off himself, but does actually also get some healing. They see McGravy and Crimzo behind him, and they say, no thanks, I don't want any of that. Back on out.
And now we do have a lot of ultimates available as Buds manages to snipe and layer out of the air, denying Ajax potentially the rest. However, he does manage to find it in the end with help of that cover, but he does get taken out this time by Facility, who gets a big double. Both DPS out of the picture. Resurrect was used, so that's gonna be unavailable for around 15 more seconds as Crimzo and the rest of his team will continue on forward.
Set back up into a pretty solid position. Bud's going to go forward, just hold this angle. If anybody wants to come back up, I don't know. They're going to be met by a shot to the face. Oh, Bud's just barely whiffing that one right across the face of Sugar Free, and they're going to just go ahead and throw out that Dragon Strike.
And with the Dragon Strike in return, won't find any kills either. However, both Hanzo still fragging out. It's gonna be a 1-for-1. Both Winston out of the picture or whatever. The Resurrect was there in the layer coming in. Does take out Crimzo off of that Transcendence. And now we will see last night's leftovers get the picks and get the team fight a win. And now we're down to 1 minute and 3 seconds for Envision.
Just unable to secure the kill onto Ajax, who got the res off in the thick of everything, bringing Decod back up, and that's exactly what they needed. Decod doing a great impression of iShiny, actually, in that situation where he was just popping off himself all over the place, exactly where he needed to be in that fight to help create space for the rest of his team and recapture that fight for them. Now, looking forward, Brunch. We've got McGravy holding onto a self-destruct, but it's the Dragon Strike from Sugar Free as he was just popping off in that last fight.
And it's gonna actually be iShiny popping that Primal Rage. Can he find those successes? We'll see Sugar Free get one, but Buds onto that fire once more. We'll find Ajax as well. We'll have that self-destruct to be popped by next, but then Alair finds that Pulse Bomb. So as we will see this back and forth continuously go through, it will be a tough call. Both frontline members still alive here for Vision, but Alair picking up that kill is gonna be big. iShiny not gonna be there. Buds gets taken out. Dragon Strike from the spot, and we might just see LNL do it.
Crimzo hanging on with the Tracer. McGravy will lose his mech. Overtime is in progress. Here comes the heals from Fire, but Decod spots him out. Crimzo falls. Overtime ticking. iShiny coming back onto the point, but they don't have a lot of firepower here left at all. He's staying alive for as long as he can to contest it up on this high ground. Finally, they're going to jump on him, and they do manage to get Buds back in, but that should be it. Overtime ticks, and Envision Esports lose this map. Last night's leftovers taking us to a map number 5.
And another map number 5 on the board here. And the problem now for Envision is the fact that this is the map type they've been struggling on time and time again. Last night's leftovers now with the momentum shift in their favor will be looking to potentially still come out on top.
And this looked so good. I mean, look at it right there. Buds was able to confirm those kills for them. They were setting things up so nicely. You know, they were playing so well with the Pharah, and then as soon as they get to that second stage, just denied, denied, denied. They also lost so much time initially as well trying to deal with that 3-0-3, that brawl comp that just kept re-engaging. And with the time lost, with, you know, trying to get into the second stage and just meeting your match, I think, to a degree, having that opportunity and, you know, having it slip through your fingers, that now we're moving into game number 5, or rather map number 5. And last night's leftovers is actually, I think, surprising as well, just like we saw Mirage.
And now on that control, we might even see last night's leftovers go back at that composition where Nex is out of the picture. They will potentially run another triple DPS setup. Will be interesting to note. However, we'll move on to that 5th map soon enough. Don't go anywhere. And another map 5 on our hands here. We will be moving on to Lijiang. And the interesting thing is, I really do believe that last night's leftovers will really dictate expectations depending on which players they choose for their roster.
Yeah, I mean, if we see Sugar-Free Track and End Layer, which is often what they run, I mean, not just on control maps, but also specifically Lijiang Tower, things get really interesting, especially on Control Center. Control Center is where you're very likely to see something like a Pharah, what is it, Pharah, Genji, Sombra, or Pharah Tracer Sombra, something like that, like just crazy stuff that you wouldn't see from any other team on a map like this on Control Center, where they're just saying, you know what, DCOD, we're not going to give you much support. We want you to do what you do best. Go in there, make space for everybody else. We'll surround them, and we'll do our best to start picking them off as we can. However, we will instead be starting things off on Garden, I believe, and that will give us time to kind of start digesting how last night's leftovers wants to play this round. And like you mentioned, yeah, that will definitely dictate how Envision wants to comp out because there are inherent counters to what they're doing. You just need to make sure that you spot it out early, adapt, and make sure you swap them off of that as soon as possible.
And that's also another interesting thing because Sugarfree, if he's gonna be most likely running that Genji, he has been using that deflect more aggressively to make sure he does give some support over to Decod. And it is going to be Track back in play, this time on that Widowmaker, so we'll see how this one will pan out as we'll have Buds on that Brigitte and the Frio free comp coming out of Envision.
Interesting. I talked to them a little bit, and they mentioned that they do have this up their sleeve if they need to pull it out. If they feel like it's strong, they will pull it out to lock it down. And here's that kind of 1.5 support, 1.5 off tank in the form of Dogman, and he's going to alter the way that they play that. Oh, Bud's off the side as he goes to charge. Goes a little bit too far there.
And as a result, even though iShiny finds 1 kill, this should be looking like last night's leftovers will come out on top. Track left to his own devices, will find those sidelines, will find the damage. Even Butts coming out of spawn will be picked off with a beautiful jump shot there. And now we'll have Crimzo get close to that coalescence. Of course, with all this AoE healing, it's no surprise, but with the blade soon enough at the ready for Sugarfree. Oh, dicey. Very dicey for Envision.
And they like this because it just allows them to disengage. You even saw Dogman swap off of the Brigitte because he doesn't want any part of that melee fight. He wants to just stay in the back. Ooh, a nice stick to come out. Certainly, again, cracking that armor. But they want to surround them. They want to take as many angles as possible, and they want to allow Decod to create space and force the aggression from last night's from Envision Esports rather to find a target. And if it's going to be anyone, it might as well be a Winston that can easily disengage. So that's exactly what they're going for here.
And the blade is at the ready. Dogman finally does go down. Sugarfree looking for the kills, however, forced to disengage. Not gonna find any success, and in return, Envision might just finally get the team fight that we're looking for, but already 54% on the board as this team fight is going on for a long time. Will Facility pop that Graviton? It is going to come out, and with it, will follow 2 kills and potentially even more.
Yeah, but still 65% already as finally the flip will occur. 67, that final tally for last night's leftovers to start things off. Although now Envision Esports in control. They have that 3-0-3 comp out. They already have some ultimates coming back up, and once this starts flowing, it's very hard to rip down.
And some interesting choices here for last night's leftovers, putting Sugarfree first off on the fair, then moving Track over to it. We'll see how they will manage to find this one through as NLA is gonna go ahead, use that pulse bomb, but not too much success. And on the other side, with so many ultimates, it's gonna be Crimzo popping that coalescence to Ascendant is the answer coming out of Dogman. But now, finally, with the sound barrier, Envision should be looking like the stronger team in this brawl.
Still though, these long-winded fights, last night's leftovers can stay in these as long as they actually keep Decod safe. And you saw Track just push them away, make sure that they don't take advantage of that knockdown. They do disengage, but so does last night's leftovers. They can stay in this. They can keep punishing Envision and just kind of wait for that opportunity where they find a hole and jump in on it. Dogman falls though, and now maybe they don't have that same shot.
Especially since Facility is so charged up already with another Graviton at the ready, he gets it. And even though the barrage does come through out of Track, it's still all about Envision now taking the lead in terms of that percentage. Used most of their ultimates, and this is where we have to see last night's leftovers make quick work of their opponents with use of that blade, because otherwise they might be down 1-0 on Lijiang.
Not a lot of offensive options. Dogman at 80% towards the Transcendence. They absolutely need it because Crimzo has already gotten himself another Coalescence. Track working his way around the side. Facility goes down. An opening as far actually falls as well, and here's the blade.
And these are going to be big picks, even though Buzz finds one onto Dogman once more. It's going to be Sugarfree with a double kill. Overtime gonna go through, but finally we do see last night's leftovers get the point capped in their favor. 70% right now built up, and that was very important of them to really get that early kill onto Facility because he was charged up yet again. He was able to build up a lot of that Graviton with the use of that too, and now that we'll have what most likely will be just one more fight. It's gonna be tougher for Envision.
They're gonna work through White Room. where they possibly have an advantage. However, they're going to be cut off. Dragon Strike going to cut them in half.
And now with it, we'll secure 1 kill onto Crimso. Without that Mora in play, the AoE healing is not going to be quite there. But now iShiny finds one to Transcendence. Was there Ajax even managing to find the res? And the Fake of Things will look to secure the team fight and potentially this first round. But no, it's these tanks of Envision. They are still looking for the kills. Graviton is going to come out. They might have just done it.
Yeah, they need to solidify the kill onto Dogman, though, too, as he pulls out. Facility is in his face. They have so much HP backed up by that Sound Bearer. They will take out Ajax in the sky as well as he darts away. Overtime ticks down. Envision Esports up 1-0 right now. Things tied up 2-2, though, in the series. Match point here for Envision Esports. Last night's leftovers not going down without a fight, though, and I'm curious to see if we're going to get Control Center or it's Night Market, and it is going to be Control Center. So here it comes out in lair on the Sombra. It's the Hanzo with the Pharah. That's what it is. Oh, wait. They're not going for it, are they?
They might not be going for it, and I think this...
A 2-2-2 instead?
Should be looking better because when they did run it...
No way.
It still didn't look too hot. While, yes, it can take your opponents out of the loop, it can surprise them because they might not just be used to playing against it too much. It seems like they are going for the 2-2-2 with that spammy damage type setup, and this could work out for them considering that Envision will be sticking towards that Brawl comp with that 3-0-3.
All right, so going for the counter as the answer instead. Decod going to take Vasily right on out of there as he wheels around. Now they can just go ahead and punish him as he wasn't able to secure that kill. Outmanned and outgunned. Envision Esports just piling in now, putting pressure onto Track as he's going to get some healing, staying alive. Crimso falls, though.
As Dogman is still being the member here for Last Night's Leftovers, potentially Sugar Free will eventually be going down, but iShiny might fall as well as Enalair will be able to pick up a double kill. And even though things were looking good with Dogman managing to find a couple of picks and staying alive throughout, we'll potentially see Last Night's Leftovers get the cap.
Oh, McGravy does fall down as well. 20%. They're just going to continue rushing into the point, trying to pull out whatever they can. And they actually do manage to pull out the barrage. They're trying to do anything they can to force this point in their favor.
Well, Steven Transcendence now committed by Dogman, looking to get the point finally capped in their favor. 31% built up on the other side, and interesting to see both of these Zaryas match up in terms of that ult percentage, but it's gonna be Enalair with that charge coming out on top.
Holding on to the Riptire here. They have the Graviton coming up pretty soon as well. It's only at 40 energy, but that they quickly go back up as Sugar Free works his way up to the high ground. That's gonna be to unleash the power and the fury of the Riptire, but it's taken down. There's the Graviton, though.
A micro missile is potentially coming in clutch, but it's still gonna be Envision dropping for now as iShiny as well as McGravy loses his mech. Crimson will go down. It is going to be Last Night's Leftovers once more. Coming out on top, Ajax getting Enalair back up. And at the very least, for the side of Envision, they still have that Graviton, and we'll see some swaps, so they're not gonna hard commit to the 3-0-3.
Such a good design, actually, from Decod. I mean, just following around Facility, shutting him down with the Earthshatter. Looking forward, though, Buds with that McCree, looking to allow for Shiny to have that opportunity to go up over the top. Now we see Graviton coming out, charging right through. Actually, enough time for Dogman to pull out the Transcendence, keeping them alive for now. They lost their Reinhardt as well in the process.
We'll see though, but still find that kill onto Dogman, and even though Decod is left alive, the question is for how long. Ajax finds one kill himself and gets the rest, so maybe they can somehow stabilize, but it's not really gonna happen as Facility being charged up himself. We'll secure the kill onto Decod, the healing, unable to keep him alive there, and even though Sugarfree does have the Riptire, they do also have 83% built up for them.
Buds on this McCree has been a solid answer for ripping down Decod's shield by just flashbanging over the top. Sugar Free going for the Riptire, but also, you know, that McCree does answer the Pharah, but they're going to need to find more than that, because with Facility down, that's less protection now for Ice Shiny, and they don't have the ultimates to back it. Oh, he was wheels around the side. The Earth Shatter going to whiff from both of them. Charge coming out from Decod as Ice Shiny trying to battle it out, and he does win that one out with a little bit of help from the rest of his team.
Oh, it's gonna definitely be an easier battle to win when your DPS will be able to pick up a double like that, but now it's gonna be getting too close towards that 83% mark, and with that Deadeye at the ready, I'm gonna be looking at Buzz to see where he's gonna be setting up to potentially deny the opposition to charge in or get any potential picks with it too.
Yeah, you can force their positioning to be not what they're looking for and then self-destruct to follow.
Oh,
I mean, with through zoning alone, they might be able to pull that off in a night. Oh, saved as Buzz is now eliminated.
Gets spotted out of track. Now with the barrage, we'll find one kill onto Ice Shiny, so maybe that sneaky approach not quite there. But McGravy spying that self-destruct onto Dogman is going to be enough as both Gravitons is at the ready. 99% kicking it into overtime. It will have to see Last Night's Leftovers get control, but it's going to be a very close one as there's a lot of ultimates on both ends. The Graviton won't be popped. Can anyone make it coming out of Envision back onto the point? A Riptire secures one to Crimson. We'll see Ice Shiny charging in against Ajax, but the overtime is not going to go through as so far Last Night's Leftovers will be able to pull them off and equalize it 1-1.
So close. Facility holding on to that Grav. We are going the absolute distance. Fusion University and Envision, both of the teams that did so well in Pit Season 2, now struggling in their second matches, both of them. And now moving on to Night Market, you expect to see some fair play for sure. We aren't getting it this time, actually, from Last Night's Leftovers. Oh, never mind, now we are. So then they're going to be pulling it out. They're going to swap it over to Track instead. They want to run the Hanzo instead of the Widow. And it will be Buds actually back on the Widow himself.
And we'll see how this one will play out, because on top of that, we also see Envision go back to that Orisa Roadhog setup. If they find those early few picks off of that halt hook combo, or potentially even get Track out of the skies with the use of that hook, we'll look to see Envision get that first point on the board potentially.
Both of these teams just looking for that all-important first pick. Bud's gonna get it for his team as Track does fall. They're going to probably try to go for the res, but I don't know if he's even safe to go for it. Facility has cut that option off completely. Ajax does manage to get one onto the Hanzo. Inlayer is back up and holding onto the point. It's going to be hard to de-nest them. Finally, though, Shiny goes down. McGravy goes down right after. Last Night's Leftover has somehow managed to get control here.
Without those tanky members, it's going to be very difficult, but now Big Gravy being brought back up is going to find one return. Brits gets another. However, with these members of Last Night's Leftovers being on top of this point, they will have that first cap. Looking for more sugar if he can stay alive. He does manage to take out Facility as he take him out, or rather gets taken out as well. Getting that Graviton going to this next team fight, and now Last Night's Leftovers looking poised to get this round win as well.
99%. Here comes the Graviton Surge, sugar-free. Here we come. Transcendence ready as well for Dogman. Yes, they lost their main tank, but they can still turn this one back around in their favor. And if they do, they are going to be one step closer. However, now with Buds finding yet another kill, going in for the Mercy, trying to find that last little bit of damage. Oh, Ajax going for it. Will not only lose his life, but also the Valkyrie.
The Mad Moth coming into play, looking for that kill. It will not happen. Facility does get one, finally gets taken out by Dogman, but this should be Envision winning this one out. Decod barely staying alive, but it was that projected barrier, and even though they keep getting pushed back, Envision didn't get the point in their favor just yet.
It's just going to be about how much time gets taken off the clock from them. Earthshatter coming out completely blocked out. McGravy comes back in. Whole Hog going to do the trick. Track does turn quickly, gets Ice Shiny, but still, Envision Esports looking for that opportunity to get in there, and with Ice Shiny down, that's completely off the table.
And the big problem right now is the fact that they, while yes, they did make these swaps happen right now, it's already 80%. And then Zarya, if you can get those valuable barriers off, it's not going to be too effective. Now, Facility, though, is going to be effective as he does manage to find that kill on track. And Envision desperately need to win this team fight.
Oh, Dogman low around the corner. They needed to just engage on that, go aggressive here and now. They can do just that. Everybody just piling onto the point as they just wanted to get to that 99%. They won't get there, but still 97% is a fantastic spot to be at if your last night's leftovers. Now Envision have to somehow win every single fight from here on out. And looking at what is in store for them, it's going to be so difficult, but that's a good way to start it out.
As we will see the rest of last night's leftovers now going on to that double DPS setup with those snipers. However, both Widowmakers being brought back up. It's going to be Trax finding fire and finds another before he gets taken out. But the question is it too little too late as Ajax out for blood?
The revenge kill. He came back in flying with the Valkyrie, finds the kill. McGravy back into this one. They're getting the flip. No one from Envision on the point just yet. And I don't know if they can get in there. Overtime ticking. McGravy trying to be able to poke his way in and out. Graviton ready. It pulls 3 in. They're looking for the kills. They'll find him. Overtime ticks. Envision Esports on their way to the losers bracket.
And what parallel universe are we living in here, where we not only have Fusion University in the lower bracket, around the losers bracket, we now also have Envision dropping down, and what a close series at that too.
Fantastic stuff from last night's leftovers, and I love the ingenuity of their compositions, where sometimes you'll see them pulling out a 1-3-2, and it really is kind of smart if you think about it. It really is, because what they do is they bet on the 3-0-3. If it's not, great, they swap one character, whatever. And if it is, what they have is a composition that's tailored to disengage